This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie? Happy New Year, homie.
Happy New Year, Mike. Happy New Year to the Sweep the Rack fam. It's 2024. New Year, same Sweep the Rack. You know, we ain't changing. But we got a great year of bowling ahead of us. And, you know, it's going to be hopefully a very wild, interesting, non-drama free ride for us this year on the PBA tour. But,
Well,
yeah.
with the new year comes new bowling.
Comes new bowling.
Comes the start of the PBA tour. You know, it's kind of been that way the last few years, where right when the calendar changes, the greatest bowling competition circuit in the world gets underway, and we're only a few days away now. I mean, really, with the RPI going on right now, and I'll get to that in my final thought a little bit, but with the RPI going on right now, I actually feel like there's already some pro bowling. You know, I mean, RPI, you got a high level of your best of the best regional players. I enjoy checking that out. You know, it's always cool to see some of those names in the spotlight. So I almost feel like the season has already kicked off, but officially kicks off next week, right? Officially kicks off next week with the Players Championship. And we were just discussing before we came on that we'll be on the air next week as qualifying is being bowled, right? So it's awesome. We love that. You know, we'll also likely be discussing our schedule and perhaps switching again to 2 shows a week on Monday and Thursday, depending on
Sunday, right?
yeah, depending on when the shows are, right? Like if the shows are Saturday, Sunday for the team and the actual event, then I would imagine we would want to go on Monday, maybe even on a Sunday night, perhaps once in a while. But we try and during the PBA Tour season, we try to set our shows up as best we can so that we get some content out quickly after the shows are over. Right, that's usually our point, Rob. So you know we'll have a talk about that. We'll kind of see what's going on with our schedule, but rest assured to the Sweep the Rack fam, we'll be hitting you with the fresh content as these tournaments get going and as these tournaments wrap up.
Lucas Wiseman in the chat is asking if why we haven't been canceled yet. Because there ain't nobody to cancel us, Lucas.
I mean,
there ain't
it's
nobody
bowling.
To
it's bowling.
Beautiful.
So like, unless you're offended by urethane discussion, that I really don't feel like there's much controversy here. You know, it ain't like we're doing it now. Let me say, Lucas, if I did an education podcast, I probably wouldn't get more than 3 episodes in it before I would get canceled by the teaching community and fired from my actual teaching job. But here I'm safe. Here, this is actually like a safe space for me because it's the bowling community, and I just don't feel like there's anything to be that controversial about.
I do feel like I could help you set up a big Mike one-man show on teaching.
Oh.
I think that would be my resolution for New Year's, to help you out setting we call it the one-man show by Big Mike, A
You
guide
know,
to
if I
teachers.
did that, well, first of all, no, we wouldn't be able to mention my real name at all. And if
Okay,
I
so
did do that,
yeah, one man show.
the 2020s and the 48 hours when they have a guest on who doesn't want to be revealed, and they put them in like the dark room with the shadows, and the person's just sitting in the chair, and all you could see is just a shadow. That's what we would have to do, Rob. We'd also have to get the voice thing. So it would disguise my voice and big. I mean, you'd be able to tell it's
Wear
me
the
still,
mask.
but
You could wear the mask you wore to the PBA playoffs when you watched Bill.
no, yeah, that I don't even think that would be good enough. People would still be able to identify me. That's what I'm saying. I have to
There
be
you go.
behind that dark curtain.
Fred John Stevenson says, yeah, you could just put Pete the Purple Rose Hammer. I mean, he hasn't been on in a little bit. We might have to bring him back for a little bit of a show since he's
True,
canceled officially as of the new year.
but here
Uh,
I feel safe. Stephen P with the chat about what channel his darts on. I feel you,
hype,
son. I
dude.
feel you, son. I'd like to get into that tonight, but we don't have time. We don't have time
Maybe.
tonight, so we're going to reserve
See.
that for a future discussion at some point during the season. So yeah,
What about the power slap? Those guys were the one guy. He's like the goat of power slap. Boom, and he's just
Nico asking what happened with having Bill back on for another parent segment. We tried to make it happen. We tried to make it happen right
but
around the
Bill's pissed at
holidays.
Mike. Bill's pissed at Mike.
No, but it just didn't work out schedule wise, and we tried to make it happen during the holidays. But rest assured, it's coming. It's coming soon enough. I mean, he's a regular around here, so no doubt.
All right,
So,
Mike, let's
all
get
right,
into it.
yeah, we got to get
Real
into
quick.
it because
Let's get it real
we have a
quick.
lot to talk about tonight. So, I know you're coming into the episode tonight gloating, okay, and like
Stephen
walking
A. Smith wearing the
walking
Cowboys
in like
hat.
the the goats in that meme.
Wait. So let
walking
me ask.
around with their noses
So
all
let
high.
me ask, Mike.
And the reason
let
is
me ask.
because I shot 418 2 weeks ago. Okay, I will come on the internet. And cop to my bad bowling. Okay, I shot 418, and I'll also say
the ball down the lane and shoot
no,
420.
you couldn't. Not on this pattern. Not in this house. Not on this pattern. Yeah, I challenge you to come do that. You won't even get close. I guarantee it.
I'll bowl lefty.
Nonetheless.
all right.
So I also will say that listen, if you want to come bowl me, I'll stick around and bowl action after. We can get a couple games in. So if you listen to this podcast and you think, oh, 418, that's ridiculous. Come down and bowl. Even if you come bowl our regular thing, you want 20 a game across 3 across with series, I'll give you 20 a game, 3 across with series, no problem. And I'll put that offer out to almost anybody. As long as you're not a PBA regional titleist, come on down. Come on down and we can bowl. So I did. I shot 418. I bowled horrendously. I bowled absolutely horrendously. I left every split. I missed every spare. And here's the backstory. And I'm not making excuses, but I'm making excuses.
I can't get enough of this.
So that day, it was the 26th. It was Tuesday the 26th. And the day after Christmas, my mom made reservations for me and my wife and my daughters and her to go to the American Girl doll store in New York City. Right? It's like a doll store basically, and they have a diner inside the doll store. So we were having lunch at the doll store. Then we walked around like the Fifth Avenue area. And Rob, you know New York City, so you know Fifth Avenue. Day after Christmas, it was absolute madness. I mean,
it there,
madness. Like you couldn't
great.
You couldn't even move on the streets.
I know. Okay? It's so awesome.
It was crazy.
It's so cool.
So we went to a few stores, did a little bit of shopping. Then we got our ride back to New Jersey. Got back to Jersey around 5 o'clock. I went inside. I went inside. I laid down for a nap. Okay, I was like, all right, I'm going to take a nap. I didn't set an alarm. I didn't set my alarm. So I wake up and it's 6:20. And in order to make it to bowling, I got to leave by like 6:40, 6:35, 6:40. So I real quick threw on some clothes, ran out the door, drove to the bowling alley. Really didn't even want to go, but I went because I knew 2 people at least weren't showing up that were regulars. And I was like, all right, we kind of need people to go tonight. let me go, and yeah, I absolutely bowled horrendously. I mean, just totally shouldn't have even have
Oh,
been there. Wasn't even
that,
wasn't even in the right frame of mind to be there. So I write that night off. Uh, bowled last night,
no, wait,
or
wait, wait.
oh,
Before we move on,
go ahead.
I'm gonna be serious here because this is starting out the new
I
year
gotta
amazing
look
on
up.
this
I
show.
gotta look up the scores. I put it out
Yeah,
on
but I don't
Twitter.
want to know these scores. I'm feeling good right now. I don't want to be sick.
Okay.
Um, I will give you props for putting that out there, though. Honestly, like, because if that was me and I shot 418, I would have probably stayed so far away from posting that on social media, on Twitter, even talking about it on the show. I mean, we all know we can't get away with it. We have to talk through it on this show, whatnot. But then we weren't on last week, so it did give you a good opportunity not to even bring it up, and we probably wouldn't not even talk about it. So I do give you props for bringing it up, taking the L. You took the L, right? You knew you were going to catch some abuse from me. That's fine. You're a good sport about it. Um, but it shows a lot that you'll still bowl anybody. You'll still challenge whoever wants to bowl on that. If I lived in your area, I would love to take you up on that. Unfortunately for me, that's a whole nother ball game on what's going on with me right now because I probably wouldn't be able to even bowl. But yeah, okay. So anyway, all right, on to this week. Were you bowling
So
on the
wait,
same pattern?
here are my games. I shot 166. I didn't even shoot 418. I shot 412. 166, 128, 118. Those are my three games.
So
Okay.
you
I
went
mean, by
128, 118,
118.
Mike.
Yeah.
I don't.
By the last game, I wasn't even really trying, to be honest. I was
Oh my
sort of
god! You
just
think? I
using
don't,
different balls, trying different stuff, trying to just mess around a
oh,
little bit.
that's
So yeah,
dead. I'm dead.
Alcatraz was the pattern. Alcatraz is the pattern.
Alcatraz,
Yeah,
man.
medium
You
pattern. And you know what the
man.
funnier thing is? I went to the training center like a week or two before that,
Same
and I
pattern.
bowled on that pattern and practiced on that pattern. And I really felt like, all right, I got a good look. I got a good idea of what to do on this pattern. And I mean, granted, like I said, I didn't bowl good from the jump. I don't think I threw a single good shot the first two games at least. So, uh, yeah, I absolutely uh, felt like I had an idea of what to do, and yeah, that idea was
Oh,
was
that is.
wrong.
I'm
Obviously,
assuming you didn't win any pots.
no, no, didn't sniff anything.
All
Nope.
right, Mike. Sorry. You,
I
you you
think
took your abuse.
I think the one card game I only had two cards, and you get cards for a mark, so I only had two marks in the game. So yeah, rough, rough.
How many? Wait, so you had 36 frames and you threw two shots. Did you strike at all at any time in those three games?
Yeah, I think I had
Two strikes.
maybe three strikes. Yeah, maybe three strikes, and no, it might have been four. Might have been four.
Um,
Might have been four because I definitely
uh,
threw at least one strike in every game. I
yo,
definitely
I'm
threw at least one
crying
strike
right
in every
now.
game.
I'm crying. All right, so you came back this week. Did you bowl Alcatraz again?
No, we bowled on
Thank God. I don't think you could take that 2
Eiffel
weeks ago.
Tower. Eiffel
Okay,
Tower. Okay,
perfect.
which actually I had been struggling on more than Alcatraz.
Mm,
But yeah, you know what? I made right decision ball wise, right decision way to play them. Bowled horribly the first game, shot 150 the first game,
mhm.
and then I went I think high 2-0, 230 something the last two,
Okay.
and in the scratch pot I finished second by 4 pins.
Nice.
Yeah, and I I should have won it. I should have won the scratch pot. I mean, the game that I shot high 2-0, I think I started front five and then only struck once in the last five frames. Now I did make moves on almost every shot that I threw in those last five frames, but I only struck once in the last five frames and only shot I think I shot 208 or 209. Um so yeah, I went like high 2-0, 230 something the last two, and bowled pretty well. I won the singles pot and the doubles pot the last game, and I had two full houses in the card game, games two and three, but didn't win either one of them. So Yeah, just didn't get lucky. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to come back and bowl well on it. And I'm telling you, the Eiffel Tower pattern to me is actually harder than the Alcatraz pattern. But I made the right decisions. I used the Mastermind all night. I used the Brunswick Mastermind all night and kind of just migrated
that
left
ball.
as I saw it. And
That's an old school. That's an old school OG classic Brunswick.
no, Mastermind, it just came out. It was like
Oh,
released
what
last
was the one
season.
that I'm thinking about then? There was a different. What was the ball before that? It was a brain, a Brunswick. It had a brain.
Oh, a Genius or something.
No, that's why I was thinking Mastermind, but it was something similar to that. Someone in
No,
the
the
chat will know.
Mastermind's the one with the big M on it, the blue and orange one.
Yeah. No, you're right. I was confusing it with the brain-looking ball that Brunswick had. Was really good. All right,
Yeah,
well, Mike, hey, good redemption.
I felt, and I'll be honest, I wasn't gonna go this week either because
Oh
it
yeah,
was
the
my
mindset, the mastermind,
Mastermind. Yeah,
mastermind, mindset, all kinds of minds. I can't keep track of it. All kinds of shit.
it threw it threw. I wasn't gonna go this week either because it was my first day back to work, but I felt good and I wasn't really that tired, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. And yeah, I'm glad I went. Bowled well. I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I might go to the training center Sunday and get a session. There's a couple local tournaments coming up. There's like a local Masters tournament for the county that I bowl in that I'd like to bowl if I can, and there's a couple other local events that I'd like to go to. I saw Dougie in the chat earlier. Shout to him. He ran a really good event on New Year's Day with a few different patterns. Shout to Steph. He finished, I think, in the top 4 in that event. I know. He had a faux pas at the end. He had a chance to win and didn't throw real well, but shout to him for his finish. And yeah, I know there were a couple good scratch bowlers in the scratch final as well. So I watched a little bit of that on YouTube. But yeah, it's my league review for the last 2 weeks actually. So we're back at them again. I'm not going this week because my daughter. That's another reason I went on Tuesday because I knew if I didn't go on Tuesday, I was going to miss 2 weeks in a row. My daughter has a chorus performance next Tuesday, so I won't be going. I won't be going next week. I'll be sitting out, and then I'll be back.
And dancing.
I'll be back in 2 weeks, back on Alcatraz again. And I promise you, you want to bet me? Bet me. I'll take Venmo. I accept Venmo and all that. We could do an over under. You want to go over under 480, 490? No problem. You want to go over under even 520, 530? I think I could do that. So yeah, I expect to bowl a lot better on it. I just gotta figure out what ball to use. I can't figure out if I want to play them in and use something that doesn't hook as much, or if I want to play out and use something that hooks a little more because they're really tight out to me on that pattern and they hook a lot in. And I couldn't make up my mind about what I wanted to do, so I got to make up my mind about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, somebody's asking if I'm bowling the Masters where the entry went up on New Year's Day. Yeah. Not that I care about the extra $10, and I'll be honest. I think it's a crappy policy of tournaments to do that anyway. We already don't have enough people bowling, especially like scratch sport events. So why make it any more challenging or give people a reason not to bowl? You want to give people every reason to bowl. So let them walk in and pay the same cost as somebody who pre-registered. Just because somebody decides on the day of the tournament that they can bowl or they want to bowl, what if somebody had an injury and they wake up that day and they're feeling good? What if somebody had plans and they got canceled, and they're available now and can bowl? I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with that as a general policy anyway. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, inflation, Mike.
All right. Well, you bowled and you got injured.
God.
I wish I would have got injured. That's what I should do. If I don't bowl good the first game, I should just say I'm injured. I pull.
Well, it's funny because that's what it actually looked like that I did because I wasn't bowling very good. So I'm gonna be quick here because we got a lot to get into tonight, and I don't want to be here for 2 hours either. Last month I went to the training facility and I bowled an hour at B3. I'm talking about a month ago. The last shot of the practice session, after like the time was almost up, I shot a 4-pin, and actually Adam Ishman was there watching. And after I threw the shot, I was like, "Oh shit, what was that?" Like something like kind of like shot my arm a little bit, like it hurt a little bit. and I just didn't feel right. So I said, "Oh shit, I'm just not gonna bowl anymore." So I did it. I took 2 weeks off because I just wanted to let it heal, whatever. I went back to practice. I actually worked out. I did some weights, light weights. Felt great, no pain. Felt like okay, I could probably bowl again. I went back to B3. The same exact thing happened again to me. I bowled an hour pain free. The last few shots, I started feeling it in my arm again, the same place, right? I kind of stopped. And then I threw another shot, and then I started to lose strength in my arm. Like my whole arm felt like it went dead. So I didn't bowl. I didn't pick up a ball. I didn't throw a shot. Put it down, left. Decided that I wasn't gonna bowl again for a few weeks. I didn't. I went, decided I already signed up to bowl this tournament. It's complete bowling events in New Year's. Went there, felt good, practiced, started out awful. I think I was like 2-8-10, washout. I mean, it was literally, I think I had like a 25 in the third. Had nothing to do with my arm though. I just, you know, made a couple bad shots, couldn't leave a makeable spare. I got to like the 7th frame and I started to get a little bit comfortable. I started making moves, started to switch balls, started to like pick it up a little bit. It felt like I could maybe bail myself out of a 170 that game, a 180. Didn't feel like the scores were going to be really that high and I could probably open up. And then I threw a spare in the 7th frame and I felt it again in my arm. And it felt like someone literally took a bullet to my bicep. Like it was that sharp of a pain. It was bad. Then I decided like I was gonna try one more shot, and I did. And after I threw that shot, came back, my arm was awful. I went to pick the ball up for the next frame, and I couldn't pick the ball up. I had no strength in my arm. So I DNF'd. I went there for an hour to DNF, to pay $100 to DNF. That's what my bicep looked like. Do you see the bruise and how it's swollen?
Mm.
That's what it looked like after I bowled. I took a picture. I have an ortho appointment on Wednesday of next week. It still hurts. It's not as bad. I could move it. I have full like flexibility of it. But it is tight. It is tight, and I do feel like if I move a certain way, or if I lift something, it could give out. So I'm going to the orthopedic appointment. The earliest I can get the ortho appointment was on next Wednesday. So I'm gonna go there, and then I'm most likely gonna probably have to do some kind of X-ray or MRI to see what's going on. But for now, I'm not bowling. I'd be stupid to pick up a bowling ball until I find out what's wrong with it. I could have a micro tear. I could have a pull. And then, yeah, we're going to see. But there's a good chance I've signed up to bowl the regional in the end of this month. Probably a good chance I'm not bowling. I'm probably going to have to give it. As for the TAT and the Masters right now, up in the air. I'm not bailing out or DNFing of any tournaments yet until I find out what the doctor says. The doctor could tell me, yeah, you'll be good in like a week. The doctor could tell me you're going to need surgery. I mean, there's a lot of different things they could tell me. So we'll wait and see. But, you know, unfortunately for me, I'm going to be on the shelf for probably a while. And if they tell me, look, you're going to need 2 months off, I'm probably going to take 4 months off. Honestly, I'm probably going to take I'm not going to rush myself back. I'm not going to need to rush back. I'm unfortunately going to just have to, you know, bail out of the TAT and the Masters and then just let it heal up and then maybe come back like mid-year, like July. So, yeah, so that's kind of really the quick story of, like, what happened.
So let me ask you this. How many undrilled blanks do you have currently?
I always have undrilled blanks, Mike. You know that. I mean, I still
Well,
got an
listen,
IQ
if you're
tour. I
taking-
got a high road.
If you're taking a 4-month break and you want to send some over my way, some of the ones you were going to drill, more recent ones and not, feel free. You know, you can always spread the love.
No, I mean, I got an IQ
Same.
tour that is going to be good all the time. If I got to drill that 6 months from now, it's still going to be good.
Yeah, no, that's a gem. That's a gem.
Yeah.
I'm talking stuff you have no idea whether it's good or not.
I drilled everything.
No opinion. You want to send those over, you send those over.
Eric asked me what's the oldest blank I have. I have a 16-pound blank Blue Thunder under my bed.
Jim.
Blue Thunder, the OG Blue Thunder. There wasn't
He
ever a
pulls it out
remake
and
of it.
sleeps with it every once in a while, I heard.
I do. I love that ball. One day I'll sell it when my house is up for foreclosure and I need the money.
No doubt.
Anyway, so that was it. Yeah, it sucks, man.
All right, so that wraps up our bowling nonsense.
Some sad displays of fucking bowling stories.
Oh my god,
tonight.
we're terrible. We're terrible.
I'm injured. You can't bowl 420. I mean, this
I
is just
know.
a nightmare of a league review.
I know. Absolutely. I hear you.
I do have a blank purple hammer, though. I have Kevin Weeks in the chat. I do have a blank purple hammer. It's the OG 2019 Kentucky 15-pound purple hammer, blank in this original box. It's still in the original orange bag, too. And yeah, Lucas, I wouldn't have made it this far if I wasn't shooting blanks. So, being single. Yeah, thanks, Theo, man. He ruined my my return. He's in the chat. Shouts to Theo though for understanding and like apologies to the people on my pair too. I know Matt's in the chat. He was on my pair, man. I hate leaving them. We already had 5 on a pair when there was 6 on a pair every other pair. And then I had to bail out, leaving them with 4 in a pair when everyone else had 6. So I'm sure that wasn't great for the people on my pair having to wait for the next game. So my apologies to those people. If I would have been able to bowl, it was the only second time in my life I've DNF'd, Mike. Do you want to know the first time real quick? First time I bowled a PBA national stop when it came to Fountain Valley. And I was in 35th place after 2 qualifying blocks. It was 3 qualifying blocks. And I had the dead flu. I literally had 102 to 103 degree fever. My dad was with me. I had the sweats, the shakes. And here I was bowling, and I couldn't feel the ball because my hands were so clammy and they were so I literally went over to Kirk Von Kruger and was like, hey, I'm DNFing. And he was like, he kind of was angry at me for DNFing. And I'm like, bro, I have the flu. Like, he was kind of an asshole about it. But that event in California was, I don't remember the year, Nico. I was probably going to be somewhere around like 2016. I had a stacked pair.
Theo, who won the event? Who won your event?
Cortez Schenk. He's so good, dude. He's so good.
Good players at the event, I would imagine then.
Yeah, Brett Wolf, Brianna Cote, Cortez, Wesley Lowe. I mean, Matt Jones. I mean, you could just go down the list of the players that he could show out to his events. Yeah, you have everywhere from PBA players to great amateurs.
And when was this? This was New Year's Day, or
this was the 31st, the day before.
Okay.
Yeah,
New Year's Eve day. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, no doubt. All right, let's talk about some real bowling stuff here, Rob.
Let's talk real bowling. We got a lot because the season is underway.
The season is starting. So tonight is our PBA preview show, where we like to speculate and put our thoughts out about what we think about the season, where we think the season is going to go, highlights that we're looking for throughout the season, prospective bets we might make if we were wagering on the season the way that we would like to. But before we get to the preview, I know that's what the people are waiting for tonight. But before we get to the preview, Jeff Rickles, associate of the show, always watching over us on Twitter, always quick to call out Sweep the Rack for our out of line speculation over here,
for our debauchery.
Yeah, for our opinion based debauchery, right?
For all that chaos and nonsense that we spew.
He dropped an interview late last week with Tom Clark. He did an extended interview with Tom Clark.
Good interview.
Was a good interview. Was the type of interview I wish we could do that type of interview or questioning of Tom and get a little bit deeper into things.
We're too
off
the cuff. We like to have a little bit too much fun with things. I think we kind of get a little bit out there in our interviews sometimes, which makes our interviews kind of fun. Jeff is pretty down, like he's got it pretty down pack, like facts, and he does, very solid, like, you know, journalistic interviews, when we're just completely off the fucking chain, like we're off the rails when we do some of our
I don't know.
interviews.
That's one of the things that I argue with him about. Is I feel like there's some opinion in everything,
See,
but
but Nico,
nonetheless,
I'm surprised, Nico, because you're saying like we've done interviews with Tom. Tom has come on our show before.
yeah,
We
Tom's
did an
been on the
interview with
show
Chad
before.
Murphy, so I'm surprised you don't know that, Nico. Man, yeah, you're a super fan. You didn't know that interview we did with Tom?
So Jeff dropped an interview with Tom Clark, and it was a good interview. It was interesting. If you guys haven't checked it out, you should check it out. I mean, I know you have to have a subscription to Jeff's blog, but you should definitely check it out. But Rob, what were the highlights to you?
Yeah.
What direction you want to go in the interview? 'Cause there
So
were a couple things I thought were
great interview.
worthy of comment.
Great interview. The first thing I have to mention is that we got a few blurbs. We had a few shout outs
If that's what
in
you
that
want to call
interview.
it, if that's what
I
you want to
mean,
call
some
it, I would
strays. I
call it.
mean,
I
Sweep the
would
Rat
call it
caught some strays.
shots taken at us.
A little bit. I mean, yeah. I mean, so essentially, there was a asking. There was a question, and I'm going to read it word for word. The 2024 PBA Tour schedule has a lot of changes, lots of things that I think a lot of fans excited, and have some of the podcasters like Sweep the Rack all fired up because you stole their ideas. Parentheses laughter.
I mean,
Like
is
they're
that
laughing.
is that teeing it up, Jeff? Could
It
you have
is.
teed it
It is.
up any more for him?
I
Come on,
know.
bro.
It's like, who do you think these
Come
guys are? They're
on.
crazy.
Come on.
And Tom responded, I think I saw that on Twitter, and it's hilarious because we started the PBA League in 2013, and the first year of the league, we were going to different cities. And the first show that we ever did of the PBA League was not the finals. It was week 1 in Detroit, blah, blah, blah. He talks about then the podcast saying, so the idea that we suddenly decided to watch a podcast and figured out how to have matches at each tour event is pretty funny. I'm glad they like it. I'm glad that they had those thoughts because they're guys who love bowling, which we do, and they talk about it to a lot of people, which we do. I love that, and I want them to keep going. Thanks, Tom. We appreciate that. But I mean, sometimes you have to question everything someone says when they have that level of fantasy. Ooh, we talk about hey, we love you guys. We think you do a great job, but you're living in a fantasy world.
He's very quick to piss on the idea that anything we say on this show influences, what goes on. And I'll be honest, like I'm not even going to get into the argument. If I wanted to, I would hit up Jimmy. I would hit up the Ring and 10, the meme god, and I would tell him, yo, we need to go through old episodes and chop up all these suggestions we made, all these things we've said. Because some of this stuff, Rob, we haven't just been saying recently. We've been saying it for a while. I mean, you can
Years.
go back to like even the end of the season last year where we talked about some of these various things that we'd like to see change and you know so I don't know. I mean, if his explanation is, oh well, by the time they said it we already had things set. Well, I don't know if that's really true, Tom. I'll be honest, I don't know if that's really true about a lot of what we say here, because I think a lot of what we say here we've repeated, and it's ongoing conversations. It's not just something that's taken out of the context of at that moment. Do
I
I
mean,
care? Do I care whether it influenced things or not? No, I couldn't. I honestly couldn't care less. But I do find it, if that's what Tom says, I find it extremely coincidental that the things that we harped on are gone, and some of the exact ideas that we talked about are implemented. So
Yeah.
whatever.
The thing is like,
If that's a complete 100% coincidence, well, by golly,
I don't care.
But
I don't care. I think any press is good press in my opinion. If they're going to talk about us in their interview, then I'm fine with it. But I think it was pretty obvious with the league kind of stuff where like even I was like one really campaigning for like having the shows when we do the schedule, like where we do in the league on the certain weekends where they have the Masters or the U.S. Opens or the majors. I don't really, honestly, like, it's cool. I just, for him to say that we live in a fantasy land, I think he was just kind of talking about that, like, oh, this is like whatever. Like, I don't care. But I think it was kind of cool to see like the podcast name in the interview. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? We made it. We out here. We out here, bro. Anyway, back. So some of the real stuff that they were talking through, because I think there's a lot of interesting points here, other than the strays that Sweep the Rack took during the interview, because they brought us up a couple times and they took some strays that we took some strays. Interesting. Tour Trials coming back for 2025. That he's interested. He didn't say that they were for sure doing it, but he was looking into it. So, Mike, is he taking your idea of a smaller, bringing back a smaller exemption field for the PBA Tour?
Well, you would think so, right? If there's going to be tour trials, then you would imagine that there's going to be some sort of exempt tour, exempt set of players. He also mentioned in the interview somewhere, and I didn't read. I'm going to be honest, I didn't reread the whole thing for our show here tonight.
I did.
I'm recalling from my past reading of it. I believe somewhere in the interview, he also talked about wanting a smaller group of players, or like having that idea previously, which again is an idea that I brought up on here, and I've said openly a couple times that if I had my druthers, I would make it. There's 16 guys, and that's it. If you ain't one of the top 16 in the world, I'm sorry, you don't get the bowl on tour. And if you want a bowl on tour, then you got to earn your way into the top 16 in the world. Now, how you earn your way in is another part of the equation, right? I think that you can build that to look like something that players would want, and I've talked about that. But that was another thing that I mentioned here. Go ahead. You want to highlight it?
Yeah. He says that he wants to see Tour Trials come back, and that Tour Trials needs to have ramification, where if you earn a spot, you just don't earn a spot, you earn something else, and he's working on that. So there could be more than just earning a spot. I don't know what that means. What other ramifications?
Well, wouldn't that allude to the idea that if you earn a spot, you're also going to earn a spot on a team?
Maybe. Yeah, which would be an understandable like rule, right? Like if you exempt and you have to be on a team. And so that could impact the number of people that are safe off the points list in 2024. And besides always only wanting the best in most of our events, we are also really committed to one squad events. And there's only a certain number that can fit into most of these bowling centers. So he's also talking about one squad events, and I don't disagree with that either, right? I think to me that's the fairest way you're going to run a tournament, is if it's a one squad tournament. I think you run into a lot of different scenarios where different squads are better than other squads when you bowl tournaments like the Masters, where you have an A, B, C, and D squad, right? And you kind of luck of the draw getting the good squad where the lane conditions are more favorable. So that was one topic. I don't want to talk too much about that. So that was the Tour Trials in the smaller fields. I really only saw a little small blurb about gambling, Mike. I would like, if Jeff ever brought back Tom, I would like him to ask more questions about the future of where he sees gambling in the sport, because we always talk about it. Does he see us going to does he see the PBA trying to get a partnership with a DraftKings or an MGM, or somewhere where there might be a better reach to people in more states to gamble? So I'd be curious for that question. I only saw a little bit about gambling. I know Tom is a big he's a big supporter of gambling with bowling. We talked about it when we interviewed him on Sweep the Rack years ago. So I mean, that was the one other point, Mike. I don't know if you want to, I'm sure you'd want to ask him some more questions about the gambling thing for bowling, right? And where he sees the future of that.
For sure.
I think another interesting was that Walter Ray took his name off the RPI trophy because he didn't like the format of the RPI. I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, who would want their name to be off a trophy, Mike? If there was a Brooklyn Rob trophy, I wouldn't give a shit if it was a 3-frame format and they were giving a trophy like my name is on it. Fuck, like.
I mean, I see Walter Ray bowling everything. Like he bowls everything. Like he'll show up to like a 9-pin no tap handicap cosmic event at his local house. So I'd love to hear from him what he didn't like about the format or what he felt about the format that would cause that type of reaction.
And I believe they put Chris Warren's name on the trophy.
Yeah,
I read that because he's got like 58 regional titles, which is absolutely insane.
it is.
So yeah, they wanted to, so did they remove Walter's name and then put Chris Warren's name on it? Like,
I guess that's.
I know that's
I
kind of
think
weird.
starting next year. Yes, they said starting next year.
Yeah.
I believe. Kevin Weeks in the chat says PBA needs a partnership with FanDuel so McAfee can get in on the passive advertising. Kevin, could you imagine if Pat McAfee had Brian Voss on?
What are you comparing
You-
Voss to? I don't want to get into this. This is the bad
I
topic.
mean, well, listen. I'm just saying, if you follow my man on social media, he's deeply into the politics and
yeah.
fringe theories. I will say,
Dude, I love
theories.
Kevin Hebert in chat says they should make the Team USA Trials Trophy the Brooklyn Rob Cup. I will get into that in my final thoughts, FYI. But yeah, like I actually, FYI, I reached out to Brian Voss to try to get an interview with him. But I don't know if I might have to do that interview solo because if that ever went into the political agenda, we might have to try to bring it back to bowling. Like like it's the last thing we need on our show. Anyway, okay, a few other points here I wrote down. Looks like they're gonna go back to 3 keepers for the league next year. The only reason why they kept 2 keepers was because of they got eliminated by 2 teams. He did mention
should
it
be
should be
5. It's
5.
the
But
dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing. Like
yeah,
any team should be able to keep the whole team if they want to keep the whole team.
right.
It just makes 0 sense that if you win, you have to give up players from a team that won, that has good chemistry, that's the defending champs. The defending champs shouldn't get to come back and defend as they are if that's what they choose to do.
I mean, every sports team has to give up players even after they win a championship because of contracts and
But not
free agency.
we're only talking 6 players here, Rob.
I get it.
Like there's NBA teams. There's NBA teams. There's numerous NBA teams who came back and defended championships with the same exact starting 5 that they did the year before. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
get it.
we can't have that in bowling.
But I do think a cool change is that there's going to be a free agency. There's going to be 2 free agency waiver wires, and one of them will actually be from March 4th to 14th. I thought that was an interesting point because people are going to be able to drop and pick up new players in the mid-season, and there might be some new eligible players if some players that weren't eligible before win a title in the first 3 months. So there might be a hot player that nobody has on the league that maybe wins a few times, and then the manager is going to have to make a tough decision to drop someone. And I do like the change that they made of bringing in 6 players instead of 5. So like stuff that happens to like Bill, this past league where Bill didn't go because he was afraid he would hurt his back and they wouldn't have a 5th player. It gives that someone like Bill the able to chance to go knowing that if he's can't bowl, at least they have someone who could fill in for him. And I think it also puts more pressure on the managers to actually manage, right? And that's just knowing college bowling, right? And being we used to travel with 6 to sometimes 7 to 8 players, and you had to rely on your coach to know when to put certain players in and substitute at the right times. There's a lot more strategy when you have to deal with substitutions for the managers.
Agreed.
Make them earn their keep, Mike. There was also a synthetic lanes comparison because they brought up the string pins with Tom Clark. From the article, it doesn't sound like Tom Clark is a big fan of string pins. It got the sense that he doesn't like string pins. He's never bowled on the certified string pins, which he acknowledged, and he says he will. And he is, gonna see what he's in. He's kind of on the same, I think, idea I'm at. If it's gonna progress the sport of bowling and it's going to keep the bowling centers open and it's going to make bowling better because of that fact, then he would entertain it, but it doesn't seem like he's a fan of it. And the last thing that I have is that the network hates seniors. That was a point that I wrote. I think Tom Clark tried to get the PBA 50, the Senior U.S. Open specifically, on a show, like a Fox show or whatever network show. He didn't obviously want to piss off any of the networks, so he didn't call them out on the in the interview. But he says that the networks gave him the big X when he brought up the seniors, being that the demographic is to try to go after the younger people. So what does bringing the seniors on for a show do for the sport? I kind of disagree. I would love to be able to see the PBA Senior U.S. Open on Fox, and to get a little bit nostalgia, right, on the old senior players. If the senior tour was on Fox, there was going to be some guys like Pete Weber, Walter Ray, a lot of guys that we grew up watching would have probably made that show knowing it was on TV. Yeah, and then other than that, the U.S. Open and the U.S. Open and the Masters are going to be allowed to throw all urethane that the USBC certified on the show as well as during qualifying. So that was pretty much the interview.
Yeah, good interview though. I definitely suggest people check it out. Any time you hear from somebody who, is involved that closely in the ongoings of the sport that we all love to follow, obviously it's something that that most of us are going to be interested in. So we just wanted to touch on that. Hirsch Bolin giving us a transition here, Rob. Have you guys talked about Mikey Tang not coming back to the PBA? I'll be honest, Hirsch, that's nowhere on my topics to discuss. I think there's a lot of other important and interesting things to discuss, but I got to be honest, I don't really think that's one of them. No, Michael Tang, great bowler in his own right, but on the tour, he's kind of been a non-factor, and obviously has the business, and he has a family now, I believe. And he, from what I see on social media, he was actually trying to make the transition to two hands. So you definitely don't want to be going out and pissing money away left and right on the PBA Tour every week when you're basically trying to transition to a different style. So yeah, I think that had been mentioned long before too, by someone like previous to the PBA League. I think on Beef and Barnesy, I had heard that a while back that he wasn't going to be bowling this year. So sort of old news to me in that regard. But yeah, definitely not on our topics to discuss tonight. But Rob, we do have a lot of topics to touch on tonight with the start of the PBA Tour. So I'm going to let you choose. The people kind of know how we do things. We give a rundown of what our quote unquote picks are going to be for the year, how we think the season's going to play out a bit. We have some different categories we'll touch on, and then I don't know if Rob has any made up, but I have some hypothetical bets that I would probably be putting down if we had preseason action on the PBA Tour, which I don't think we do. Bet Rivers, if you're listening, you want to get something up before next week in terms of being able to do some PBA futures for this season. Definitely something I would be interested in anyway. But Rob, I'm going to let you decide. What do you want to talk about first? What direction you want to go in?
We're going to start with the kind of smaller awards, and then we're going to go to the bigger awards. I think the last, we're going to save the best for last. So the first category is let's talk about who you think the breakout player of the year is.
Okay.
I'm gonna give my breakout player of the year because I actually have already mentioned him. I think Cortez is going to break out player of the year this year. He was rookie of the year. And I have the honor to watch him practice when I go to B3. He's there when I'm there. And watch him bowl at the complete bowling events, seeing what this kid is capable of doing just from like bowling myself. And I think Tez is going to be in the top, 15 or 20 this year. He was in I think the 50s or 60s points. But I think he's going to break out, and I think he's going to make a show or two, and I think we're going to see him in the top 15 or top 20 this year.
Okay, it's a good pick. I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Kevin Weeks says his breakout player of the year would be Santu. And Kevin,
I think that would have been last year.
Kevin, right? I agree. I agree with you, Kevin. I agree with you. However, he's injured. He's injured, and he was.
How bad is he injured? He has to be pretty bad injured.
He actually kind of made he didn't make himself unavailable for the PBA League draft, but he definitely let it be known that you were taking a risk if you draft him, and he wasn't. I think he was drafted, but he wasn't
I think that's
drafted
a
very
storyline.
early.
I think that's a storyline to look for this year because Santu would have obviously been two of my like award winners here, but he's injured, so it's a big question mark.
Okay, so with that said, for my breakout player this year, and some people, and I think this person might even. I'm not sure if they have a title. If they do, I think it's a doubles title. So some people might fault me and say, "Oh, that's not a breakout player. That's somebody who's already known." But they didn't have a good season last year. They didn't. They have not had they weren't really on the radar at all last year. And I'm going to say Mitch Hoope.
Hmm.
I'm going to say Mitch Hoope is the breakout player of the year this year.
Really?
He switched to Global 900. He went over to the Evil Empire, and with his kind of game and I think that might be a good move. I think that might be something that pays off for him. So yeah, if you force me to take a breakout player for this year, I would take Mitch Hoope. If you don't like If you don't see now, Steph in the chat saying Packy, but Packy won 2 titles last year, and he kind of would have been my breakout player for this year or for last year. I also think Kevin McCune, but can you make somebody who's won a major already a breakout
No,
player? I don't
no,
think you
no, no, no,
can.
no, no,
Right?
no,
So
no.
AJ Johnson was another name that came to mind,
Last
but
year,
again, he won a title at the Lucky Larson Masters.
he's
So
not
like,
break. No, there's no
do I
breakout
really
player.
consider him a breakout
No,
player? I really don't.
no.
I think Mitch Hoope is like borderline in that regard.
Yeah, like
So
someone like
that's
even AJ Chapman, right? Who didn't get picked this year, I think would be an also honorable mention for breakout player of the year. Has something to prove, chip on his shoulder now.
Kevin says Joe
Ooh,
Grondin. I
I
like
like
that.
that
I
pick.
like that.
I like
Kevin,
that.
I also thought somebody that I had on my list. I didn't go with this person, but Frank Snodgrass. Frank
Snodgrass.
Snodgrass,
Sure. I mean, there's a
is another guy that I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the year, we're talking about his name a little more. Andrew V, Steph, saying Packy and Justin Knowles going to have a good season this year. But guys, listen, it seems like you're disregarding the impact that the urethane can have on things.
we're
Okay,
gonna talk more of my other awards. Let's go through some of the
so
other ones.
all right, let's go.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna buy stock and sell stock. Now keep in mind, remember last
Well,
year.
let's do the other awards first.
Okay.
Let's do the other awards because if
Okay.
we do the buying and selling stock, it's going to make it too obvious in terms of the other awards.
Okay.
So
So we have a
pick another
breakout player of the
category.
year. So I have breakout player of the year, which is different than comeback player of the year. Okay. Comeback player of the year, right?
Okay.
Meaning I have Sean Rash as my comeback player of the year this year. Just because I see how hard he's working. He was literally 31st in points in last year. And I have to believe a lot of that was from being injured. Obviously, we talked to him multiple times on the show. Friend of the show, Sean Rash. I see how hard he's working. If he can get himself healthy, I think he's a top, obviously he's a top 10, even top 5 player, but top 10 for sure if he's healthy. So I put him as my comeback player of the year.
Okay. Kevin Weeks and Tobias took it from me.
Frankie.
I think this is an easy pick, and I think it's Frankie Lavoie. 2-time U.S. Open winner.
Yeah, sure.
Has shot 300 on TV. Working with Mark Baker. Had a terrible season last season. Would not be surprised at all to see
38th
him
in
make
points.
to see him make the biggest climb back up the standings. Nico throwing out Brad Miller, Blake Ernest throwing out Brad Miller. I have a hard time seeing that. I'll be honest.
Can't get any
guys.
worse for him though.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing that. I do. I have a hard time seeing that one. I don't think that his game matches up all that well with what you need to do out there to be very successful. So
Tommy Jones would be my other one, Mike. I mean,
yeah, but again, you say Rash, you say Jones, like I don't even know if you could qualify them as comeback player.
well, Tommy Jones finished 27th in points last year.
I hear you, but like it's not going to surprise me at all if he has a
What?
better season. It's
Should
Tommy
Joe
Jones. It's
Flacco
Chris
should
Pratt.
Joe Flacco win comeback player of the year this year?
Yeah, probably.
Well, he was Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, but he was out of the league. He was out of
He's
the league, and he's only won Super Bowl. He's not an all-timer.
I'm just
Tommy
saying.
Jones, Sean Rash, these are all-timers. These are
I'm
absolute Hall of Famers. He
but
ain't anywhere near a Hall of
for
Famer.
me, comeback player of the year is someone who had a really bad year last year for what they're and have come back right from that, not their career but last year, right? That's how I do. Chris Prather is another. Chris Prather is a great one. I thought about putting Chris Prather on it. Chris
How
Prather
bad
didn't
of a
have a great
season
year.
did he have? I wouldn't call him a comeback
17th,
player either.
17th,
Come
but for
on.
him,
No, I'm
17th.
sorry. That's not bad enough. You can't be 17th in the world at
Thomas
something
Larson.
and considered a comeback player.
Thomas
Come on,
Larson.
Steph. That's ridiculous.
What about Thomas Larson? 62nd in points.
Okay. I don't see it happening. Kevin's pointing out Stu. Again, I thought Stu had a decent year last year. He was like in the top 20, wasn't he?
Stu Williams was sorry, Stu, I'm looking a lot further down than I should be. 18th in points, Mike. 42,000 in winnings.
No, you can't get that. I'm sorry. It's got to be somebody who's, I'd say, outside the top 25.
Right.
If the guy ain't outside the top 25, I can't really consider them for comeback player. The other person I had on my list was Darren Tang. That was the other person I had on my list. I didn't. That's not my pick. Frankie's my pick, but I had Darren Tang on my list too. So
okay, cool. We'll move on.
Let's go.
Who do you think's going to win their first title this year? I put Tomas Keiko.
Oh, that's a good one. I got Santu, but again, with the injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also I like Anthony Nair.
To win his first title?
Yeah.
I think he's still a little bit early in his career for that, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, because I just like his game. I think if there's a couple weeks where the left is there, I think that he's the type of lefty that can take advantage of it.
Yeah, the reason why I picked Keiko is because Keiko has been making more shows than a lot of the other guys that I mentioned for first title.
True.
AJ Chapman hasn't made enough TV time, I don't think, right now to be like, for me. Keiko seems like he's on the up. He's getting up and higher. I mean, the kid finished 20th in points last year. So I think he's on the brink of it. He just needs to carry one show. He should have won. Honestly, the kid should have won in that US Open show. The kid hit the pocket every shot. Like it was a pretty amazing game he bowled. So I feel like he's comfortable on TV. It's just a matter of time until he's going to catch the breaks.
Nico wants to know if you think Cortez will win a title.
I mean, I could see him making a show or two, but winning is a whole nother ball game.
Eric, what's up? Eric asking, does Dombrowski have a national title? I don't believe he does.
I like Dombrowski.
Kevin Weeks. I like his game. Kevin Weeks. Kevin Weeks has AJ Chapman. Okay.
I would love to see AJ. I want to see AJ crush him this year, just to send a big FU to everybody who didn't draft him. Honestly, I'm rooting for the kid. I met him a few times. I want him to throw a big fuck you to everybody out there. All right, Mike.
Who's gonna have the biggest decline this year, Rob?
Oh, that's the easiest pick you've ever. And people are gonna absolutely hammer me for this pick. It's gonna be Jesper Svensson. And you know why, Mike?
No, it's not. It's gonna be Jacob Buttriff.
No. I've seen Buttriff throw strikes with a global 9. How about every lefty on tour? It's gonna have the biggest decline.
Then if it's not Buttriff, it's gonna be Packy.
Packy was my other pick. Packy is my other pick, but I'm going with Jesper Svensson. I think, look, like a spade, right? Jesper's very, very good when he has it with that pitch black. When he doesn't have it with the pitch black and he has to make moves, and I don't think he's as good as advertised. I hate to say it. So my pick is Jesper. And I think Butters can win with reactive. I do. I believe that. So if he does, if the IQ 78 isn't all of it's hyped up to be, and Wait, but Butters is on Brunswick. I'm sorry. If the NU isn't all hyped up to be in the new 78, urethane for Hammer isn't all cracked up to be, I think Butters can still compete with Resin. I've seen it. And he's
Well,
got
we're
such a
gonna
crazy,
find out.
funky role. Like, he's able to do some things that a lot of other lefties can't do.
We're gonna
And
find out.
and even Lucas is agreeing. I can't believe Lucas agrees with me that Jesper does struggle with reactive. So we're gonna see if Jesper is gonna be able to make that 78U work. If he can, then he's gonna have success. If he can't, then I think he's gonna have a really bad year this year until he figures it out.
All right, player of the year. Who you got?
Anthony Simonson.
That's who I got too. I think it's his year.
I think he's. You want to talk chip on his shoulder? If I was Simo, I have more of a chip on my shoulder than anybody on tour. The kid might have had his probably best year last year and didn't win player of the year. So he's coming out on a mission to win. And if there's anybody who could adjust to anything, it's him. I love his game. Okay, buying and selling stock. Keep in mind,
Stop
Mike,
for a second.
Yeah.
Charlie Tab, what up, Charlie? Friend of the show. Says the new black urethane looks pretty good. Knowles has been rolling it pretty good here in Michigan. All right, well, that's interesting. It's interesting. We got to see it. We got to see it out there, though, Charlie. And you know this. You know that's right. We got to see it out there. But as I've said before, I'll say it again. If this new 78 urethane is still effective and still works and still hooks, and guys are still using urethane, and the 78U urethane is in play heavily, Rob, every episode we come on here, I'm going to want to talk about the conspiracy theory of eliminating the Purple Hammer.
Okay, I hope you're right.
Because that will be the story within the story. And you talked about storylines before, and to touch on what Charlie's saying here, the biggest storyline of this season, crazily, I mean, it's like ridiculous, but the biggest storyline of this season is urethane going to work anymore or not?
We'll find out probably pretty quick.
We probably will. And if it does, if this new 78U urethane hooks and works, somebody at a high level, okay, is going to have to come on this show and explain to me why that is. All right. And explain to me. And you know what? I think it should be Jeff Rickles, actually. We should have Jeff Rickles on. I want you to come onto the show, and I want to have a discussion about why that's the case, okay? And why, if that is the case, did we have to get rid of this other urethane?
So
it change the hardness.
By the way, in case anybody didn't know this, we now can see Twitter comments. That's a new addition to this platform that we use. And Michael, good. I don't think we've ever seen Michael in the chat. He's still thinking, pitch black will be king on tour. Pitch blacks are illegal. You can't use them on tour anymore. And he's not a fan of the 78U. I am not a fan of the 78U either. I saw a bunch going down in the tournament, people trying to throw it, and it just, like I said, it wobbles, Mike. It's a wobbler. It is a wobbler.
It's an interesting. It's a funny comment from Tim. If the Black Pearl outperforms the 78U, they'll definitely ban it.
I think they're done banning stuff. I think it's done.
I don't know.
According to the article with Tom Clark, they got into it with Jeff about the urethane and about the banning and whatnot, and he just wants the thing to be legal and fair.
All right.
That's what he said.
Before we go buying, selling, who you got in the league
to win?
Yeah.
Oh man. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
It's an easy pick for me. I'm taking Dallas. I'm riding with Bill in Dallas.
You're riding with Bill in Dallas?
Yeah.
I'm not taking the Portland Lumberjacks because if I did, I'd be completely hypocritical after all the crap I gave Tim Mack on the last show for his draft.
Then I'm hypocritical too because I didn't like Dallas's picks, but I'm riding with them. But I'm hypocritical, but I'm loyal.
Yeah, I'm going with the Motown Muscle, just because you have Simo and Tackett on the same team, and they're two of the best players in the world. it's just, to me, that's going to be, if I'm going to bet on a team, it's going to be them, because of the fact, if they're bowling Bakers or whatever it is, you have the best 9th and 10th players in the planet, right? And that's really
Right.
important in Baker format. So that would be my pick. Okay. Let's go
Buying
into
and
buying
selling.
and selling. This is the very interesting one, because last year I got so much shit for selling Kyle Troop stock. And I just said the reason why I sold his stock is because he had such a good year that it's so hard to duplicate, right? Like, it's such a hard year to duplicate for Kyle, what he did the previous year, the earnings, and everything he did. But I'm not selling on EJ or Anthony this year, because I think that would be crazy. My stock, I'm selling Packy, bro. I hate to say it, but I'm selling Packy.
I'm selling
Packy,
Packy too.
he finished 7th in points. With the purple hammer out of play now, I just don't see it happening.
I'm sorry. I'm selling all lefties.
Right. It's a fair
Buttriff,
point.
Kevin Williams, Packy, Matt Russo.
Jesper.
I'm selling all lefties. I'm sorry.
All lefties.
It's nothing personal.
It's all business.
Okay.
I think out of all the lefties that could have success, and I'm gonna say it again, I think Jacob has out of all the lefties out there, has the most versatility, and really solid game to make up for a lot of the urethane that he's not going to be able to throw. He could make
It's laughable to me that you just said solid game with him, and is the subject of that sentence. But nonetheless,
he's a great bowler, that kid.
Lucas is in the chat saying buying Belmo and Simo. Lucas, that's too easy.
They're too high.
In this exercise, yes, you're right, Rob. In this exercise, Lucas, we would assume that the Simo, the Tackett, the Belmo stock were priced out of that.
Why would you buy a stock at its highest point?
You can't buy Amazon now. You had to buy Amazon 10 years ago, right? We're looking for stocks that are really going to do something here.
I'm buying AJ Johnson stock this year. He won his first title. He got the title, the hump off his back, the monkey's off his back. I think he could relax a little bit now. He finished in 24th in points, 58,000 in earnings. I think he gets another title this year, but he gets it on TV, which is something that's a lot different than the title he won, right? And his earnings, I think we'll see him be in the 80 to 90,000 to 100,000 earnings this year. I think AJ Johnson's finally put himself in a spot to really be in the top 10 this year.
Michael on X is asking who's buying McCune. I was just going to ask Michael,
McCune.
Is McCune's stock really high right now?
He's at 9.
Is it still moderate? If it's moderate, I'm buying McCune. If it's high, I'm laying off.
Man, I'm catching strays in the fucking chat right now. Let me pull up my man. I don't know, Dak, maybe Dak Prescott, Dak Arling. Rob, have you head to head? How many sticks does your bro Jeff have to spot you? Right now, he'd have to spot me like 50 pins because I'm injured. I'm on the shelf.
Because Rob would be bowling left-handed.
But back in my prime, Jeff couldn't beat me in my prime. I hate to say it. But now he'd be giving me 50. He'd bowl me lefty right now. I mean, I can't argue with that. I'd bowl lefty too, though. I might win, though. Jeff's a good bowler lefty. Anyway, okay.
So again, I'm buying McCune as long as it's moderate. I'm buying Snodgrass stock.
Okay.
I'm buying Dom Barrett stock. Okay. I think Dom Barrett, after last year, his stock is probably more moderately priced right now at the moment for what you're getting. So I would be buying some Dom Barrett. I'd be buying some Kyle Troop. I'd be buying a boatload of Chris Prather. Okay, boatload of Chris Prather stock. Like,
you know who I think we're not talking about, who I think is going to have a great year because of the PBA league? Sean Lavery Spar.
Okay.
I think Sean Lavery Spar has a really good year this year.
You're buying chip on the shoulder stock. That's your angle. You find the chips on the shoulders and you go after those.
Because motivation is a hell of a drug, Mike. When you're angry and you're motivated, you practice more, you take it more seriously. If you use that as fuel and you use this people of not drafting you. I mean, look what Simonelli did on that show. I mean, he fueled himself up. I think these guys have a bigger beef. I think Sean Levy Spar, I think AJ Chapman have bigger beefs than Simonelli did.
Blake is saying he's buying Alec Keplinger. I love the kid's game. Is he bowling full time this year, Blake? He's still bowling for Wichita. I assume he's in school. I'd buy that stock if it's available. If it's going public and he's offering IPO, I would be buying some Keplinger stock. I like his game. And then I had Sterner, Hoope,
Sterner's always a solid
and
pick.
Lavoie. And I'm buying their stock too. I'm buying way more than I'm selling.
You're buying everybody.
But I got another guy I'm selling though, and there was an announcement made today that even furthered my I'd sell it all off at this point after I saw this announcement today.
Mike, let's talk Belmo because I know that was a
Sam Cooley went to Motive. Cooley went to Motive.
I don't know.
So I'm selling Sam Cooley.
Why? EJ makes him look great. I mean, it's possible you could do it.
I'm selling Sam Cooley.
I do
from
think
Global
though.
900 to Motive.
So I'll be honest with you. When it comes to moving to Motive, I do think there is a transition period from going to Storm to Motive. I think you see it with a lot of players out there who did the jump to Motive. It took them realistically almost a full year to adjust to the Motive motion, then the Storm motion. And I think AJ Johnson is a good example of that, right? I think it took AJ a little bit to get used to the Motive stuff. But I think now that he's gotten used to it, he's starting to able to learn from it and throw it. So,
okay, Blake clarifying the Keplinger graduated last year, so I guess he's bowling.
All right.
So
I like that. All right,
Lucas,
I would have.
You're gonna make some money on that, bro. You're gonna make some money on that. It was an anomaly.
I would talk about Rookie of the Year, but I don't even know what rookies are bowling, so it's hard. You couldn't even get a roster.
Rookie of the Year is tough. I feel like Rookie of the Year, you got to look halfway through the season.
100%.
And see who's bowling, see who's out there full time. It's tough to know. All right,
so let's talk Belmo real quick. I want to talk Belmo.
Okay. I want to talk bets.
Okay, what do you think Belmo? So let's talk bets. If you were to give odds on Belmo being Player of the Year this year, what are you giving him? I could tell you right off the bat what my odds would be for Belmo to be Player of the Year this year. I think 500 to 1.
500 to 1.
Not 500 to 1. I'm sorry. 5
plus
to 1.
500. So 5 to 1.
Plus 500. Plus 500.
I was gonna say plus 600.
I'd say 5 to 1, 6 to 1 would be where I'm at.
Okay.
I say Simo would be around 3 to 1 or 2 to 1, and Tackett would be right around the same.
Yeah, I would agree.
Does Belmo win a major this year?
I'd bet that. I'd bet that every year.
Every year.
In fact, I came up with one of the bets I'd like to put in if we could do futures.
Sure. Shoot.
Would be Simo, Tackett, Belmo parlay to win a major.
All three of them winning a major?
All three winning a major.
You'd probably get at least, 25 to 1 on that?
Oh, I mean, I think it's got to be higher than that to pick three winners of majors before the season starts. I mean, that's got to be pretty high odds. But
so
how about this? How about this? How about if you did?
One?
How about if you did a four-piece parlay with those three plus another player that you like to win a major? Like I would put Prather in there myself. So I would have Prather, Belmo, Simo, Tackett all to win a major in the season. I mean, there'd have to be sick-ass odds on a bet like that.
If I was going to pick another player to win a major other than those three, it would be Dom Barrett.
Okay.
Dom Barrett would be my sleeper to win Player of the Year this year.
I would also like to put in a parlay for multiple titles for Tackett and Simo.
You're just picking all the easy. You're just parlaying Tackett,
Well,
Simo, and
I'm
Belmo.
parlaying them. I mean, what kind of odds you think I'm going to get on that? I'm going to get, maybe plus 150 on that. No, I'm going to get 1.5 to 1 on that.
I do think Kyle Troop though is good. You're gonna see him a little bit more this year. Kid just got engaged. His tour is starting. Guys
Look at
living,
that.
living the dream.
Lucas says Belmo Simo Tackett parlay would be 500 to 1 to win a major. And if you toss in another player, it's
No,
8,000 to 1.
I don't
Woo,
think so. You're crazy with those
man.
odds. Thank God you don't work for. I hope you would work for Bet Rivers and put those odds in.
Steph likes this he likes
Tackett Simovia
this
Cooley Troop to win a
to win a
title. Wow, what a
title.
parlay that is.
Right? That's
That would
quite a
be
parlay.
it is.
Five-way parlay.
I like that
Okay.
parlay though. I like that. I would actually put that too. I don't.
Ah, Kevin's saying I'm chalk. I'm putting together parlays, Hoss. These are multiple leg parlays. These are you got to take bets that are going to hit.
So here's my question for you, Mike. Does Bill O'Neill win a title this year?
So you're saying the bet is
Does he
Bill
win a title?
O'Neill.
What's the odds?
Bill O'Neill over under titles 0.5.
0.5.
Am I taking action on that?
Yeah,
I'm
you
taking
always
action
would.
on that, of course.
Okay.
I mean, so will I be surprised if he doesn't? I won't. But would I be surprised if he does? I won't. I think he's kind of at that point in his career. Wow, Lucas says 200 to 1. 200 to 1.
Give me
Damn,
give
you
that
give me 200 to
day.
1. I'm throwing 50 on that,
I'm
son.
throwing 100 on that.
Give me 50 on that.
Okay, what are the odds? How about this? The odds of a lefty winning a title this year. Any lefty. One-handed, two-handed.
Geez, that's a good one. That's a
How about this?
plus 500? 5 to 1?
No, I would have said probably like 50 to 1
Okay.
that a lefty wins a title this year. I would take that too, and just hope that one tournament they just completely, they give it to him a few tournaments of the year.
Nico, I love this bet. This would be a really interesting bet for Bet Rivers to put up. What odds could you get on EJ, Simo, or Belmo to win more than one major in the season?
I would take that in a heartbeat.
Who would you take? Who would you take? You got to pick one, right? Imagine they all have their own odds. You taking Belmo?
He's the major king.
Guy's the major
king. The guy's the major king. You got to take him to win. Like, he's a safe bet on the majors.
Would you have anybody that you would want to bet on? What if they let you bet on people who are going to make multiple shows? Can you put together a parlay for me there, Rob? Of multiple shows that's going to get us good odds.
I could. Dom Barrett.
I mean, obviously, you're going to have you're going to take Belmo, Simo, Tackett, right? You're going to take
Dom
those
Barrett.
three. Barrett, okay.
I'm taking Barrett. I
still don't think the odds are high enough for me. I need another two.
I'm gonna take Bill. I'm gonna take Bill who make multiple shows.
Okay.
Bill always makes multiple shows. Now, if he wins, is a different story. But he's always
we need one. We need one more.
AJ Johnson.
Ooh, okay. I like that parlay. I like that parlay a lot. 6-way parlay. 6-leg parlay to make multiple shows.
Yep.
Belmo, Simo, Tackett, Barrett,
Bill,
O'Neill,
AJ
Johnson. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yep. All right. Yeah. See,
how about
this
what
is
are the
kind
odds?
of stuff I wish we could bet on. Leading money winner. Your brother says leading money winner over under 450. I mean, Jeff, we're going to be heavy on the under on that.
Under. Because
heavy on the under. Yeah, he had like
Jeff,
a historical
458.
season.
He had a historical season. He made 458,000, and Anthony Simo only made 347. Only made 347. Mike.
Oh, Lucas, you're out of control now. You're out of pocket.
He
says
trolling.
1,000,000 to 1 that 6-leg parlay hits. No way. I mean, that would be a very high odds parlay, no question. But it ain't gonna be 1,000,000 to 1. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's some interesting here. I would love to just throw like some really deep underdogs to like make a show or win a title.
Ooh.
Like somebody like I bet you can get really good odds on someone like like Anthony Nyer making a show, or someone like Wesley Lowe making a show. Stuff like that would be cool to be able to put in there, getting some sick odds. Or Dickie Allen winning a title, I think would be, an interesting one. Just a seasoned veteran coming in and winning one. DJ Archer.
Tom in the chat on YouTube likes Brad Miller for a title. I think you get sick odds on that. Sick odds on that.
Yeah, Andrew Anderson to win a title on a major. You're probably gonna get at least, my opinion, at least 100 to 1 on that for a major for Andrew. But yeah, how about some like crazy prop bets, Mike? What are the odds that 710 gets made on a show this year?
Oh, that would be big odds.
Big odds, right?
Odds, huge odds.
What are the odds a fight breaks out or some kind of drama or argument?
Always go back to the wrestling nonsense. Oh my goodness! How about this? How about this prop bet? Title one with urethane. How about a prop bet of how many games?
Championship game.
How many games? No, how many games on a show is urethane thrown for the season total?
Oh,
right. What would the over under be there? That would be an interesting bet.
You'd have to figure out how many shows,
right? And how many games are going to be bowled.
And then you have to look at the patterns that are being put out, right?
Yep,
and then you would have to wonder that at least the first, you'd have at least 1 or 2 games on every show that's going to have urethane thrown on it.
Fair point.
Yeah, so that's how I would do it. I would be able to make a really smart bet. Let's go back to the fighting, though. What's the odds that there's drama or someone yelling at someone or cursing at each other on a show this year?
0.
God, I hope.
Boring
please,
shows
for the
like
love
we
of
always
God.
get.
No, please, somebody do something. Something
Sorry.
Interesting. All right, Mike. Is there anything else we want to cover?
I think that's it. I think we covered it.
Perfect. Is it time? Are we ready to go? Worst of the week?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
All right. My let me see. My worst of the week was easy this year. It's from the Brunswick, or this week. It was from the Brunswick Bowling Fans Facebook page. It's from an anonymous member, so I can't actually say, there's no name for me to give. But person says, brands of Brunswick ball most like the Venom Shock.
I saw that. Just drill a Venom Shock. What the fuck?
Like, I got bad news for you, bro. Whoever this anonymous person is.
It's the GOAT of balls.
It's one of the best balls ever made. Ever. In the history of bowling balls. It's probably a top 5
3.
ever. It's arguable.
Mount
Isn't
Rushmore.
it arguable that it's top 3? But it's
Mount
top
Rushmore.
5. It is top 5, no question, of
Definitely
all-time bowling balls made. Like, if you want a ball that good, guess what? Guess what? You got to drill that actual ball. Okay.
Still making
there is no ball Brunswick has that's like that, because if there was, we'd all know it and everybody would have it and it would be in the bag.
Mike, but do you see how these bowling companies? Do you see how these bowling companies have these people brainwashed?
Yeah.
That are in these forums. It's like, well, I don't want to drill anything but a Brunswick because I'm loyal to Brunswick, dude. You should never, ever be loyal to one company unless you're on staff or they're paying you, which means you're on staff, right? Or they're giving you free shit to throw their stuff, right? If you're a Patch Pirate, you should be local to your, Patch Pirate company that you're getting stuff from. But if you don't have any, just drill everything. Drill a Purple Hammer, drill a Venom Shock, drill a High Road, drill the best balls that are still being made. Why are you loyal to your company, to these companies? They're not loyal to you. They don't give a shit about you. Use the best equipment you can to make your game better.
Yep.
Oh, what's the best? What's more like the Venom Shock? Like, stop it. Drill a Venom Shock and be done. All right, Mike. Nico's all staff. That's the only way to be, is be all staff, unless you're on the staff. Unless you're on college team that's forcing you to throw the one company, you're on staff. You're getting paid for it. Don't limit
free
yourself.
Equipment anyway.
Yeah, don't limit yourself to one company. Trust me, they're not loyal to you. Why are you going to be loyal to them?
Agreed.
My is from my favorite message forum, better than the USBC message board. And this doesn't have Tim Buck, Mike. This is just the wild, wild west of bowling. Everybody wants to drill a short pin. I don't know what their obsession is with short pin layouts. It's like you see 5 posts every day about people asking questions about short pin layouts. Let me tell you about short pin layouts real quick. Well, let me go on a side rant. Short pin layouts are terrible. Don't ever waste a new bowling ball on a short pin layout. A 1-inch pin, a 2-inch pin. Don't waste your time. If you're going to drill a 1-inch pin, drill a purple hammer. If you're going to drill a 2-inch, drill an IQ Tour, drill it smooth. It's unbelievable how many people are wasting their equipment because somebody's telling them to drill a short pin. Stop it. Stop drilling short pins. They suck. If you want to experiment, plug up a ball, drill a 1-inch to 2-inch. It's going to hook at your foot. It ain't going to do shit. It might be good on certain conditions, but trust me, take my word for it. I don't think you rarely see pros these days throwing really like 1-inch or 2-inch pins. I don't think you see it. You're better off just drilling a purple hammer. Anyway, back to my worst of the week. My brother has a good comment here. I asked the touring pro about short pin layouts, and he said they're so good. Why isn't anyone on tour using them? Yeah, I'm sure they're great. The Bowling Science Forum, where where it's Christmas every day, Mike. Anyone ever used a sous vide? Is that how you call it, Mike? What is it? What is the name of it?
A sous vide.
A sous vide. A sous vide. We were laughing about that before. A sous vide. Has anyone ever used a sous vide to clean your bowling ball? So let me get this straight, Mike. This guy wants to take his bowling ball, put it in a Ziploc, and dip it in what is it, like steaming hot water? Is that how they cook?
Yeah, well, I guess you'd put it in a bag. Sous vide is usually like you put it in a vacuum sealed bag and then put it in hot boiling water.
What? That's how someone wants to clean their bowling ball?
I don't even know, like, how would you build a big enough sous vide bath for a bowling ball? Like, sous vide things are for like steaks or something.
Why is
Like,
who put this? This guy needs to be called out.
What heating element are you putting in a thing big enough for a bowling ball? And if you put the bowling ball in a plastic bag and you sous vide it, which just seems like a ridiculous idea to me. But
It's
if you
terrible.
did do that, if you did take a bowling ball and put it in a vacuum sealed bag, and you sous vide the bowling ball in some boiling water, wouldn't that make a mess inside the actual sealed bag? Like, you'd have all kinds of oil and dirt and stuff inside that bag.
Dude, people are so obsessed with their bowling balls. I mean, it's
Charlie says he used the sous vide in Milwaukee in 1981. Oh my goodness.
dude. When you're out there, people really pay attention to these message boards. Dude, there is so many people obsessed with their bowling balls, how to keep them clean. Like there's tricks, homemade tricks to, so they don't have to spend the $20 in a bowling ball polish. Someone was asked if they could use car polish to clean their bowling balls, like turtle wax. I guess now that Ron Hicklem is using turtle wax to clean his True Cut gloss or whatever, people are now trying to use turtle wax on their bowling balls. Holy crap, just spend the money and buy the cleaner. You spend $185 to $250 to buy the bowling ball, spend the extra $20 to clean the ball. Like, it's just incredible.
I just used to use plain rubbing alcohol, bro.
Yeah, you can't do that. I don't think you could do that anymore, though.
No,
I think that's bad for the ball. Buy the cleaner you can get from the pro shop. Like, it is what it is. Spend the extra money. People looking for to cut costs and stuff to clean their stuff. Like, man, but the epidemic, man, I hate it. It just to see everybody so obsessed with their bowling equipment is just unbelievable to me. Like, I just don't get it.
My favorite thing to put on my bowling ball, and I had access to a pro shop, when I was a teenager, and I used to resurface my stuff a lot. And my favorite thing to put on the bowling ball, made the bowling ball look better than anything, was Finesse It polish. It was this white, like cream polish, and you would just put it on a paper towel, just put it right on the ball, and then kind of rub it in and make sure it all got in good. And man, the shine that it would put on that ball was just something else. I missed
So I'll
that.
be honest with you, I rarely ever clean my bowling balls. I'd rather give it to the pro shop and spend the $3 or the $5 and have him hit it with an Abralon pad. Like for me, like I didn't ever clean my stuff. I would just hit it with an Abralon pad. And if you really wanted to get really cool, like you wanted to really get it, have them like maybe throw a little bit of cleaner and then hit it with an Abralon pad and do it on the spinner. But I remember when I was a kid, when I was 16, my mom bought us a spinner, and we put the spinner in the garage, and we had it in one of those big Tupperware bowl like things, and then we'd able to literally like bring this stuff back to the house, spend
Clean it.
like hours on the spinner
Right.
with the Abralon pads and the cleaner, and then you were
Well,
great.
back then, it wasn't even Abralon pads. It was actually sandpaper.
We did some sandpaper, but at the
Yeah.
time there was starting to, I think, yeah, we had all kinds of different grit sandpapers.
Yep. All kinds of different grit
Learn how to
sandpapers.
resurface the balls by hand and do all that. But honestly, like I think if you guys are out there and you guys are realizing you're spending a lot of money getting your balls clean, whatever, like invest in the spinner. I'm being serious. Like go buy a spinner, the big white bottle.
Well, that was the
The
Finesse
big,
It. It was a
is it
clear
whatever it was?
bottle, but it was white inside of it, and yeah, it was just the best stuff that I ever.
Yeah, I would recommend everybody to go, and if you have a garage and you have a way to do it, like buy a spinner. Buy a spinner and then just buy the Abralons and learn how to do it yourself, and you'd be surprised. You never really would have to ever clean your really bowling balls ever again, honestly. Just hit it with Abralon pads.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, Mike, let's do it.
My final thought, I mentioned it earlier a little bit. RPI's going on. Check it out. Finals are tomorrow, I believe. Check it out. Great competition. The regional guys deserve to be recognized. Need to build that regional program up. Need to put that in the spotlight in some way. This is their biggest event of the year. You got a regular event and a senior event. So make sure that you check that out. That's my final thought.
My favorite time of the year, Mike, the biggest waste of time and resources the USBC puts on every year, the Team USA trials. I don't even know why they do it. It seems like it's a waste of time and money. The
Sorry, I
format,
made a mistake. RPI finals are tonight. Check it out. Check it out tonight or catch up on it tomorrow.
the Team USA trials. I don't know. There's not even a Team USA. Boeing's. I don't think we'll ever be in the Olympics in our lifetime. As long as the IBF continues to do what they're doing, I don't think we'll see bowling for a really long time. But we continue to have these Team USA tryouts. The format's terrible. If anybody wants to really not really understand of the way a format works, is they have like 6 days of qualifying, I think it is. 5 blocks of qualifying, and the higher place you finish each day, the lower amount of points you receive. So first place receives 1 point, second place receives 2 points. They don't take total pins into consideration, Mike. It's just the place you finished, and then at the end of the 5 days, they have a cut based on who has the less points. So essentially, you could out average the field in a world in this format. You could out average the field by 20 pins and total pinfall for all 5 days, and not be in the top 5 or 10 of the tournament. If you
I'll be
completely
honest. I don't
crush,
get this tournament. I don't get this tournament just because it's Team USA trials, but it's also the U.S. Amateur Championship.
Well,
but there's Pro
it's a
Bowlers
Fugazi.
Bowling, but
Yeah.
there's Pro Bowlers Bowling,
And there's
but
juniors. bowling.
there's also Junior Bowlers
Right.
Bowling.
Mhm.
And Junior Gold's supposed to be like the proving
Junior,
ground for
right.
juniors in Team USA, but it seems like all the kids on Team USA come out of the team trials and not really Junior Gold. And it's supposed to be a qualifying for Team USA, but then if you bowl good enough to qualify, it doesn't even guarantee that you're going to bowl for Team USA. I mean, it's nonsense.
No,
It's
it's
nonsense.
crazy.
And honestly, they should get rid of it. They should redo the system for Team USA, for the adult Team USA. It's real simple. Said it on Twitter. Jeff Riggles wanted us to discuss it here. It ain't a real long discussion. Start at the top of the PBA list and keep going until you got 6 people, and that's
See,
it.
the problem is my brother mentioned that he used to work for Team USA. That it's in the rules that
That
you
they
have to have
a qualifying event. Okay.
So here's what you do, Mike. Here's what you
have
do.
a qualifying event.
It's simple, right? If you want to call it the National Amateur Championship, you can't call it that first off because, like you said, there's pros bowling. Okay. Now, then you can't just crown the highest amateur to be National Amateur Champion, right? It's a farce. Yes, if you want to run the format so that's actually like, hey, you want to do like a U.S. Open type qualifying format where you have whatever it is, 24 games, 18 games of qualifying, and you want to go top 24 and do match play, and then a top 5 step ladder, then I could maybe get on board with the better format, right? There's so much politics in this tournament that it's ridiculous because like even on Twitter, like George Gohagan mentioned about how like Pharrell Williams got, made the top 5 one year of the team, and he wasn't even getting picked to go bowl the tournaments. So you could, and then they're going as far as sometimes I even read somewhere they went down as far as like 19th and picked players, right? So there's so much like politics involved, right? And these people they go because it's a team I think sometimes I feel like the USBC sells the people on the Team USA aspect of it, right? You get to go represent your country, you get to travel, and then look, those are all good points, right? And if I was a younger, person that maybe wanted to do that, I would be for that. It's great, right? To go see different countries, bowl for your country, whatever. But like I'm just reading right now, Shannon Pluhowski is leading the women, right? And I'm being honest here. What does she get out of leading and winning another Team USA and going? I'm just trying to understand that. Like, what is she getting out of it? She's been doing it for how many years?
Well, I mean,
On
she wants to bowl for her country, and that's great. But let's be honest. Should someone with Shannon Plahowski's resume have to show up and bowl what amounts to a semi junior tournament to prove that she's eligible for Team USA? I mean, come on, she's one of the best female bowlers ever.
she should be
So like
automatically like on the
it's
team.
just
Like,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I agree with you.
yeah.
I don't really pay too much attention to it. I check the standings just to see if there's any young kids that are really competing with some of the top level players out there. Or I also look at it to see if there's any of the top level players that really look like they're falling off and not even able to compete in that environment, which is kind of shocking to me. But
Do we even know who the selection committee is? Have
I
they
don't.
ever announced or released? Lucas, in all of your years of covering, have they ever like unveiled on who the selection committee was, who's actually making the picks? Like, I'm just curious. I've always been curious. I feel like that's like the biggest kept secret in like this like tournament. Like, who is picking these players? Like, I'd always be curious if it's a bunch of ex Team USA people or whatever it is. Like, just I'm kind of interested in that. Yes, they do say who the committee is. I don't know who it is this year. So they are transparent with who the committee is.
Well, that's good. That's
I
good.
would I would love to be able to see who the committee is. I'm just curious in my own like the bowling world is small, so I'm pretty sure we probably know a lot of those people that are on the committee.
All right, listen. I demand that we wrap it up right now.
Okay, you demand. We are
I
doing
do.
it. All right,
We're gonna go. It's late. We went into super overtime. Hope you enjoyed our PBA preview show. Can't wait for the action to start up. We'll be watching this week. I'll be catching up on the RPI tomorrow, and I'll be watching the action going into this week. Checking out the PBA League action as well that we have to look forward to. Follow us on social media. We'll be on Twitter and active. I'm at the 215th. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. Reach out to us through email, sweeptherack@gmail. We love getting emails. In fact, there were a couple emails, Rob, we wanted to highlight tonight. We didn't get around to doing it. We'll do that next week. We will hit everybody up and let everybody know what our schedule is going to be for next week after we talk about it a little bit later on. And listen, Bet Rivers, don't forget, go check it out. Go check it out. See what bets they got available.
If you're able to
get your bets in, get your action in. If you're able to bet, gamble responsibly, obviously, but definitely check that out. Rob, always fun, and I will see everybody next week.
There, guys.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.